Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer, navigator and cartographer, holds a prominent place in the history of the Age of Exploration. He is credited with recognizing that the lands colonized by Christopher Columbus were not part of Asia, as initially believed, but a new world. Vespucci's voyages, writings and influence on cartography contributed to the naming of the Americas, securing his legacy as one of the most significant figures in the exploration of the Western Hemisphere. Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian, relocated to Spain and became involved in outfitting ships for exploration. He worked closely with explorers like Columbus, gaining first-hand knowledge of the burgeoning age of exploration. This experience paved the way for Vespucci to undertake his own voyages. Vespucci's relationship with Columbus was both professional and influential, albeit marked by contrasting paths and perspectives. Vespucci and Columbus were contemporaries operating within the same Spanish maritime circles, and their interactions reflected the dynamic and competitive nature of the Age of Exploration. When Vespucci arrived in Spain in the late 1490s, Columbus had already made his first voyage to the New World and was celebrated as the discoverer of new lands. Vespucci worked as a supplier of ships and provisions for expeditions, a role that likely brought him into direct contact with Columbus. Their collaboration was practical, with Vespucci learning about navigation and exploration strategies from Columbus's experiences. While Columbus firmly believed that the lands he encountered were part of Asia, though not India, as popularly believed today, Vespucci's later voyages led him to challenge this assertion. Columbus referred to the people he encountered as los hijos en Dios, meaning children of God, which was later misunderstood by the English as Indians. In fact, the term India was not even part of the Spanish language in 1492, and did not become common until the English popularized the term centuries later. Vespucci's exploration of the South American coastline convinced him that these lands were part of a separate continent, which he famously referred to as the New World. This divergence in perspective created a subtle rivalry. Columbus's achievements were rooted in his initial discovery, but Vespucci's recognition of the New World as distinct from Asia reshaped European understanding of geography. The differences in their interpretations contributed to the broader debate about the nature of the newly discovered territories. Despite their differing conclusions, Vespucci and Columbus shared a mutual influence. Vespucci's observations benefited from the early explorations by Columbus, and his subsequent voyages expanded upon the regions first encountered by Columbus. Their collective efforts, though not always aligned, were instrumental in the European exploration and eventual colonization of the Americas. Columbus is celebrated as the discoverer of the New World, while Vespucci is remembered for identifying it as a distinct landmass. Their legacies, while intertwined, represent different aspects of exploration. Columbus as the bold pathfinder, and Vespucci as the analytical observer, who provided a new framework for understanding the discoveries. This distinction ultimately led to the naming of the continents after Vespucci, a decision that has sparked debates among historians about the relative importance of his contributions. Vespucci's first voyage is shrouded in controversy due to limited and conflicting evidence. According to letters attributed to Vespucci, he sailed under Spanish sponsorship and explored parts of the Caribbean and Central America. The voyage reportedly reached areas near present-day Venezuela, but historians debate the authenticity of these accounts. Some even suggest that this voyage may have been fabricated or misattributed. In any case, Vespucci described an encounter he had with Arawak from the Caribbean island of Curacao in 1497. A number of Arawak came swimming over the sea and approached us, joining others who had arrived in canoes. Then some old women appeared at the doors of the huts, uttering great cries and tearing out their hair in sign of grief. This made us suspect something, and each man seized his weapon. Suddenly, some Arawak in canoes came nearer and began to shoot with their bows and arrows. The Arawak who were swimming had each brought a lance, concealed under the water as much as possible. As soon as we understood the treachery, we not only defended ourselves from them, but also attacked them vigorously and sank many of their canoes with our ships. Thus we routed and slaughtered them, and all took to swimming, abandoning their canoes. Having suffered enough damage, they swam back to the shore. Nearly 15 or 20 of them were killed, and many more were wounded. His second voyage, confirmed by multiple sources, was undertaken under Spanish patronage. Vespucci joined an expedition led by Alonso de Ojeda, exploring the northeastern coast of South America. During this journey, Vespucci is believed to have reached the mouth of the Amazon River and observed the vastness of the continent. His detailed descriptions of the land, flora, fauna, and indigenous peoples highlighted the uniqueness of this territory. One significant contribution of this voyage was Vespucci's observation of the stars in the Southern Hemisphere, including the constellations unseen from Europe. These celestial observations played a crucial role in navigation and further distinguished his reports from those of Columbus. Sponsored by Portugal, Vespucci embarked on his third and most important voyage. Sailing along the eastern coast of South America, he traveled farther south than any previous European explorer, possibly reaching as far as present-day Patagonia. During this voyage, Vespucci became convinced that the landmass he explored was not part of Asia, but a previously unknown continent. Vespucci's letters from this voyage are particularly significant, as they describe the rich biodiversity, indigenous cultures, and the immense size of the continent. He suggested that the newly discovered lands be called the New World, a term that underscored the departure from the old Eurasian landmass. One of the most sensational aspects of Vespucci's writings is his claim that certain groups practiced cannibalism. He described in vivid detail how warriors would consume the flesh of their enemies as part of rituals. These accounts, whether exaggerated or misinterpreted, contributed to the European perception of Native Americans as savages, justifying colonization and missionary efforts. On his final expedition, Vespucci returned to Brazil under Portuguese sponsorship. This voyage focused on further exploration of the South American coastline and gathering valuable trade goods such as Brazil wood. Vespucci's reports continued to emphasize the distinctiveness of the New World, further cementing the idea of a separate continent. Vespucci's contributions to cartography stem from his detailed observations and reports of the New World. His descriptions of geography, climate, and navigation were incorporated into maps that reshaped European understanding of the Western Hemisphere. The Mundus Novus letter, published in 1504, was a pivotal document in shaping the European view of the New World. In this letter, Vespucci articulated his belief that the lands he explored were part of a new continent. The 30-page letter was widely circulated and translated into multiple languages, reaching an audience eager for news of the discoveries. The most significant recognition of Vespucci's contributions came from the German cartographer Martin Waldseemüller. In 1507, Waldseemüller published a world map titled Universalis Cosmographia, which was the first to label the new continent America in honor of Amerigo Vespucci. Waldseemüller's decision was based on Vespucci's letters and the realization that he had correctly identified the New World as a separate landmass. Following Waldseemüller's map, the name America gradually became accepted for both continents, North and South America. Meanwhile, Vespucci's observations continued to inform cartographic depictions, especially of the South American coastline. The naming of the Americas after Vespucci was both a reflection of his contributions and a historical coincidence. While Columbus had made the initial discovery of the New World, Vespucci's writings played a crucial role in spreading the understanding that these lands were not part of Asia. This recognition distinguished Vespucci among explorers and ensured his name would be immortalized. Some historians argued that Vespucci's contributions were overstated and that his letters may have been embellished. Nevertheless, his role in advancing the geographic understanding of the New World is undeniable. Vespucci was appointed chief navigator for Spain in 1508, a position that reflected his expertise and influence. The enduring legacy of his name on the continents of North and South America is a testament to his impact on exploration and cartography. Regarding the native peoples, Vespucci would write with a mixture of condescension and admiration that the women are extraordinarily lusty, yet their bodies are attractive. They are as wild as can be imagined. They have no hair whatsoever on their bodies, and they have very long black hair, which beautifies them. They are gifted with very well-proportioned bodies, and no part is to be seen that is not well-formed. They are of a free and good-looking expression of countenance, which they themselves destroy by boring the nostrils and lips, the nose and ears. Nor must you believe that the borings are small, nor that they only have one, for I have seen those who had no less than 7 borings in the face. each one the size of a plum. They fill these perforations with blue stones, bits of marble, of crystal, or very fine alabaster, also with very white bones and other things artificially prepared, according to their customs, which if you could see, it would appear a strange and monstrous thing. Vespucci wrote that one man had in the nostrils and lips alone 7 stones, of which some were half a palm in length. It will astonish you to hear that I considered that the weight of 7 such stones was as much as 16 ounces. In each ear they had 3 perforations bored, whence they had other stones and rings suspended. This custom is only for the men, as the women do not perforate their faces, but only their ears, concluded the awe-struck Vespucci. Vespucci's accounts of the indigenous peoples he encountered provide a fascinating perspective on the cultures of the New World. While some details are considered exaggerated or embellished, they offer valuable insights into early European perceptions of Native Americans. Vespucci often marveled at the physical strength and endurance of the indigenous peoples. He described their excellent health, which he attributed to the warm climate, and noted their impressive adaptation to their environment. According to his accounts, the natives lived in well-constructed communal houses and practiced agriculture, fishing and hunting with remarkable skill. Vespucci's observations of women's beauty were often laced with idealized notions. He described them as naturally beautiful and noted their use of body art, such as tattoos or painted designs, to enhance their appearance. These descriptions fascinated his European audience, who often romanticized the exoticism of the New World. His descriptions of women often highlighted their role in the community. Vespucci noted that women were industrious and played a vital role in maintaining the social and economic fabric of their societies. He observed that they were responsible for cultivating crops, preparing food, and crafting tools and garments. In some regions, women also participated in trade and were skilled in making decorative items from local resources, such as shells, feathers, and beads. Native women's roles in religious and cultural practices were also noted. Vespucci described ceremonies where women played central roles, either as participants in dances or as caretakers of sacred objects. He observed that women were often regarded as life-givers and caretakers of the earth, which aligned with some of their spiritual beliefs about nature and fertility. Vespucci also described the role of women in times of war. He observed that while men were primarily involved in combat, women supported warriors by preparing food and weapons. In some instances, women were described as fighting alongside men, a testament to their resilience and bravery. While Vespucci admired the ingenuity and resilience of indigenous peoples, his writings also reflect the views of his time. He frequently contrasted their uncivilized ways with European norms, framing their societies as inferior, but capable of being improved through Christianization and European influence. Amerigo Vespucci's voyages to the New World, his detailed writings about indigenous peoples, and his contributions to cartography cemented his place in history as one of the most influential figures of the age of exploration. Despite controversies surrounding the accuracy of his accounts, Vespucci's recognition of the Americas as a distinct landmass reshaped European understanding of the globe.